What up, brothers? It's Clip King returning for another Star Wars review today. On the figure you can see in front of you, it's Darth Vader from A New Hope by Hot Toys. I will start off by saying that I put a video up a few nights back called The Frustration of Vader, the title something like that, which were basically centered around how you have to strip the figure down to get to the battery section on the back, and the switch, once it resets itself after 15 minutes, you have to mess about finding a switch to get it to breathe, and then the remote to work for the sound effect. Now, I don't want people to think I've put that video up, so this is going to be a video of frustration where I hate the figure because of that, because that's not the case. That is just one point of the figure. It was just poorly designed in my opinion. I think I've read better suggestions, so it could have been a touch sensitive button like I said, like possibly on his stomach, which would have still led to the battery section at the back. Or someone else actually put a better suggestion, why not put it in the base? So that would have been a lot easier because he could have got straight to the batteries and the button would have been on the back. So that's just what I couldn't understand. But like I said, I'm not going to be biased towards the figure and keep bringing that point up and saying, well, I hate it because of this and Hot Toys have dropped the ball, because that's not the case. They have done a lot of good work on this and I am going to score it fairly. So where I'm taking into account the articulation, I will only be scoring the articulation. So don't think I'm going to talk the figure down. It's going to be a quote-unquote frustrated clipper review, which I've read in a few places, because it's not the case. I am going to try and keep it upbeat and try and keep it a fair and honest review. So stick with me, we'll roll on and we'll get some scores. Before that, I'll just show you the initial pose. Just got him with the lightsaber lit in an upright position and the fist clenched, sort of in frustration. So let's get cracked on and talk about the packaging. As you see, the common theme with the Star Wars figures is the black on charcoal front, moving down to the character name, and above that the chrome Star Wars logo, moving up to the artwork from the figure. Again, quite a nice picture, but not as eye-catching as the inlay slip, which I'll show in a minute. Nothing really to speak of on the back, just the credits and the addresses. But the eye-catching artwork is definitely on the inlay slip. Show you some production shots. They are all of the figure and not movie stills. Even on his right and left, as we see here, the stormtroopers, and then in the background the Death Star. I do like the uniformity of the design. They are all very similar, so you could display them together if you chose to. But all in all, it's just the average standard of cardboard and a shoebox design. We've seen it 1,000 times, so nothing too new, and that's why I'm going to score it a 3 out of 5. Right, let's roll on to likeness. Just show you the pose first. Just got him with a lightsaber on his side, cape off his shoulder. Again, upright position, just with the hands clenched. Right, let's move in, and I'm going to admit something. When I first saw the release shots of this figure, so the Hong Kong bloggers and then a couple of others that I saw that had got the figure really early, I thought to myself, they made a bit of a mess of that paint job, particularly on the left cheekbone, which I'm trying to get in light, and on the right cheekbone. So there, and then there. I thought, bit of a crap paint job that. I don't really like what they've done. I thought the helmet looked pretty good. I thought the mask looked pretty good. I like the sort of visor style eyes, and I did like it in general, and I will say I preferred it to the sideshow version. But like I said, I kept coming back to these pictures and thinking, made a right mess at paint job. So what I did is, Callum actually bought me the Blu-rays, the full saga, Star Wars saga on Blu-ray, a couple of Christmases ago, and I'll be honest and say, since I've had it, I've never watched any of the films all the way through. So I thought, I'm going to go back and have a look, and I put the New Hope on, and I found some of the scenes with Vader, and this is what I saw. Right, I'm not sure how well this is going to pick it up because it might flicker because of the camera on the TV, but this is the Blu-ray, the scene where he's talking to Princess Leia. It's you're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor, take her away scene. Now, if you look on this cheekbone, you've pretty much got the lines like it's been gloss brushed, and then if you look on this cheekbone, you see the speckling what Hot Toys have caught as well. So I realised that the Hot Toys were more accurate than I was giving it credit for when I went back and had a look at the scene. If we just, I sort of flick through, and you see him moving because it might catch the light differently. Obviously he's moving about. There again you see sort of the brush marks on that one, and then the speckling on that one. Then we're back to Princess Leia.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away!
So as you saw in that footage there, I think Hot Toys have it nailed right on hammer, because on the left cheekbone it's sort of got the striped effect, like it's been brushed with a paintbrush. You know when you gloss your skirting boards or a door or something like that, but you really coat it on thick and start dragging it? It's got that effect, and then this one's got the sort of speckled effect, which could be sort of battle damage, or it could just be a really bad paint job on the helmet. But it is on the real helmet, and you see it on the Blu-ray. I mean, I've watched Star Wars no end of times and never picked up on it until I saw this figure, and I went back and looked at the film and I thought, fucking hell, it's right. So Hot Toys have taught me something that I'd not seen before. Aside from that, I think the helmet proportions are really good to the figure. I think the mask is accurate to my eye. I'm sure people go and say the measurements aren't right and it doesn't sit like this and it looks more like this version, that version. For me, it's Darth Vader and it's close enough, and that is why I'm going to score the likeness a 5 out of 5. Rolling on to outfit. And just to start off, I'd like to say I'm not going to be including the helmet and the mask simply because I've covered that on the likeness. I also want to mention, as I have before, that on my version the chest armour is outside the tunic. It didn't come like that out of the box. I've changed it round, and also I removed the wiring from the front part of the tunic there and there, so mine might drape slightly differently to everybody else's, but I thought that would be worth a mention. So let's cover the outfit in general, starting at the boots. Like the other figures in this range, it does come with a real faux leather boot. So underneath the shin guard, in fact, if I just take that off, you see it is a full boot. Fucking move. It is a full boot with the Velcro down the front. So you do get the ankle articulation through there still, it doesn't hinder that. And the suit fits inside it nicely. I will just say, the shin guards are an hard plastic, sculpted and painted quite glossy, and then on the inside you have the Velcro strip, so you can put it sort of anywhere on the shin you choose. Moving up, it sort of has this padded faux leather, kind of a catsuit or an all-in-one, overalls, whatever you want to call it, and it is quite padded. It does have like a white lining inside what the stitching goes into, but it does feel quite padded on the body. Now it is really nice material. It does show the leather effect really nicely, although it is quite restrictive when it gets to the articulation. Moving up, it has this hard plastic codpiece. Again, it has a Velcro square on the back and a place on the suit that the codpiece is supposed to sit. Like I say, you can lift it up, which I have done slightly, and position it as you would want to. Above that, we have the belt, which opens on a clasp there, and then these two boxes come off because you would need to put the batteries inside. So that is a nice touch. Moving up, the chest piece sort of fits onto a faux leather strap that wraps around the neck, kind of like a necklace would, and then it has two straps that go around the back as well, just connected at the back with Velcro. So again, depending on how you put the Velcro together, you can shorten each cord or lengthen it to put it in your place of choice. Moving up, looking at the hard plastic armour on the chest, you see it is striped with black and a brushed steel effect. Really nice. I thought it was a shame to keep it under the tunic, and that's why I removed it for the Empire Strikes Back look. Same on the shoulders, as you can see. Really nice effect, and that is just attached at the top with sort of a piece of plastic inside there that attaches to the upper shoulder. Obviously that's on both sides. The suit continues up all the way through the body and then onto the arms, so again you can sort of sense how padded and spongy the suit is just by how it reacts to my thumb. Again, nice stitch work and nice fit. Moving down to the glove. Now, some people don't like the glove setup on this. I do, but the hand gestures are a little bit limited, but I'll cover that when I get to the accessories. All it is sort of a section that goes around there, but then the bit that attaches to the hand, again, just get some lighting in, is just Velcro there and on the cutaway on the back of the hand. So that holds that flap in place. I think it works really nicely, but I've seen a lot of people say that they're not keen on it. I like it. Just to mention as well on the outfit that inside there is the switch for the lightsaber. A little bit of pain in arse to get to, because on the inside of there you obviously got the arm of the suit, and then it's got a split somewhere there which you need to sort of get your thumb into to switch on the lightsaber. Right. Underneath now on mine is the tunic, which is pretty much kind of like a body warmer type thing. So it does go all the way behind him. He just puts his hands through, so it's kind of like a long waistcoat, if you like, and then you pull it down into position and it flows all the way down his leg as sort of an inner cape. If I can show you. So I will say I think Hot Toys have used really good material here, and I've got the cape correct in general. It didn't work with the wiring down the front because I don't think you would ever want to pose it, so there were no necessity for the wiring. But I do think the fabric is really good. It is sort of it is lined, should we say? So where it would without the lining, I think it would drape and fall like a Tony May cape. But because it is lined, it thickens it up a little bit, so it doesn't quite fall correctly. On the larger cape, I think again they have used the correct materials, but again it is lined, so it is a little bit bulkier, but it has got really good weight and it does sit really nicely, as you can see, with the swags running through it. And also the cape will either wrap all the way around him like so, if I show you that, or you can completely throw it behind him like so and it will stay. So all in all, a really good looking outfit. Not the most functional in the world, because of underneath the chest plate and underneath the shoulder armour is another layer of sort of this stuff, which is like a body warmer, I suppose you could call it, but it fastens down the back. Now this is what creates the frustration, because not only does the catsuit fasten at the back, then the body warmer as well fastens at the back, and it's basically straight above where the switch is to turn the electrics on. So that's where the frustration comes from, because you basically can't move the switch very well. Another downside to the outfit is going to be obvious, and I'm going to cover it again in the articulation section. Because of the armour, it does hinder the arm movement, and because of the thickness of the suit in general, it does really stiffen up any form of articulation. In fact, getting his hands together, you're only going to be able to get his hands together in a pose like that, which is why I've done it. If you then start wanting to put this hand somewhere up here with the lightsaber going there, this hand is never going to reach it, so then you would have to go to a one-handed pose, pretty much like I'm going to be doing in the review. But to get a dynamic pose two-handed, the suit and the body underneath just don't allow it. But if I'm scoring it on looks alone, there's not really much I can call it down for, because I do like the gloves, although some people have been nitpicking about it. I do like the look of it, and again, if you get it in a position you like, in a pose you like, it does look really accurate. It's just the functionality lets it down, but I'm going to sort of blame the design for that, not the outfit. So I'm going to score the outfit a perfect 5 out of 5. Moving on to articulation. I'll just show you the pose first and tell you that this is the category that the figure definitely falls down on. I expected it would, and everything I thought was sort of confirmed when I got the figure in hand, tried to move it around. It's pretty obvious why, but I will still go into it. Before I do, Show you the pose. Just got pretty much a standoff with Obi-Wan, which gives you sort of a height comparison as well, and explain the pose, so to speak. So yeah, we'll move in, and I'll tell you that it's basically a large true type, but it's the true type that has the limited articulation point. So sort of at the shoulders is a lot less articulated than the other places. It has a wide sort of lat section, so the arms won't come down by each side very good. It does have the double bend elbow, rotation at the waist, crunch, double bend knees, the good articulation through the hips, and then the ball joint ankles. The neck is on a ball joint at the top, but it sounds like it's got a lot of points of articulation, but nearly every point is either pushing against other body parts, be it the top of the arms against the, like I said, the lat section or the underarm area, or it's pushing against the armour or the outfit. Now the outfit is very thick, as I explained, so it does kind of, if you think about it like it's one of the rubberized figures we've seen before, so like the DX02, you try and move it and the rubber's always pushing it back. This suit is that thick that it also has the same effect. Obviously, the armoured section, you're going to struggle to bring the arms close together because of the upper arm is going to sort of clash in here. And the fact that it's got so much on it, it does sort of hinder everywhere. Same with the lower neck section, because of the portion of the helmet that covers the neck, you pretty much only can turn it left to right. There is a little bit of rise and dip, but not a great deal. The hands do move quite nicely and quite freely because of the separate gauntlet to glove section, and it is just held by Velcro, which I do think is a nice touch. And also I will say this lightsaber holding hand will sort of move more freely than Luke or Obi-Wan does. They only sort of rotate, where this one will swivel and dip also, so that is a nice touch. I don't really want to beat about Bush too much because he's not a great deal I can say. It's basically a good body, or a good stocky body to make it look accurate, but it is hindered by the shape of the body and by the outfit. So for that reason, I'm going to give the articulation only a 2 out of 5. Rolling on to extras, and this is where the frustration comes in and a little bit of confusion. I'll just show you the pose first, and I'll try and clear up my thoughts. Just got the cape attached to the side of the cabinet so you can see the sway and the drape of the cape. Right, let's move in. The key extra for me is the light up lightsaber with the attached arm. Obviously the blade stays in that hand all the time. The switch is on his forearm, and you've seen it lit up through the review. So that is the nice touch. We also get just the handle, that if you wanted you could swap the blade into that. So again, nice touch, good detail on the blade. Let's move around it, you can see. So I do like that. That's the standard arm, so obviously the arm that's on it would have the battery unit in the forearm and then the switch, which is pretty easy to get to. Not as easy as Luke or Obi-Wan, simply because he has the leather gauntlet covering it, so take that into account. You get the 2 spare wrist pegs, and you get a selection of hands. So you've got the sort of the wide force hands, let's call them. As you see, every set of hands has the Velcro on the back. It's sort of cut away into the glove so that the gauntlet will hold onto it. Moving forward, we have the more claw shaped hand, which also I would say it's the hand of frustration, or like wielding some kind of power. You have the lightsaber holding left and right. You have a fisted left and right. Obviously the right one's there, the left one is on, and then you get a kind of pointing, or I suppose you could use that as the neck pinch hand on the right hand side. And then obviously the hand there is always attached to the forearm because the electrics run through it. So a decent selection of hands. I can't think of any more hands it would need. I think I will say the hands on the sideshow version were better, more expressive I think, but these are good enough. The instruction manual, you're definitely going to need to read that to set this bitch up. Just like I said, I covered in my other video, everything you've got to do to get to the battery unit. You've got the remote, which you've also got to put batteries in. The W is the button, And then you get the interrogation droid, which on a clear pole. I will firstly start off by saying the base that they put at the back of the box to hold this is cheap shit. It's basically made out of the same material as the clam tray is made out of. It's just a total second afterthought. And really, I think they should have included it with Princess Leia. And obviously she's a smaller figure and you could attach it, because of the shape of the bottom, it will attach to the standard Star Wars stand. But because Vader's so big, there's no room for both. So it is a nice touch. It does look really good, but I will say that in itself were also a massive frustration. Simply because the syringe one is so hard to get to stay in, and it just pops out at every time you touch it. Watch, I hardly touch this. Look, it's just waiting to fall out, as you see. I hardly touched it. That one, I couldn't find the hole. It's down inside that dome unit, and then all the others are pretty easy to put on. Like I say, I think it's time spent for very little reward, but I'm never going to criticise the fact that they added something in a figure. Now, where the frustration comes in, before I get onto that, the light up section on the buttons are so fucking tiny, I can hardly get them, and I've got pretty small hands. There you go. Again, not uber bright or uber green, but they do work at least, and I suppose they're pretty easy to get to. You just take the pack off of the belt, and then there's some tiny batteries in that one and on that one. The chest doesn't light up. Right, so here we go. The frustration on the figure comes to the voice activation and the breathing. Now, this figure is higher priced than any of the Star Wars figures apart from the Han and Chewbacca box set. So I think a lot of the money is going towards the electrics and the fact that it does breathe and talk. Now, a lot of people have said, I won't use that function. Fair enough. I probably wouldn't have either. But if a figure comes with it, it should be accessible and it should work. Now, this is the thing. To start this part, I switched it on so I could show you the remote unit. Before, when I did it first time, I undressed it, put it in, tested it, it worked. Right. 15 minutes, it cut off. So I thought, right, now I've got to switch the battery off and on, same with the remote, and then it'll start working again. So I'm trying to do it through the clothes, not happening. I could sort of feel the switch with my thumbnail, but I'm thinking, I'm scratching away now at the lever trying to do this switch, so I didn't like that idea. Regardless, what I did, switched it on, off, on, off, on, off. It would not start breathing again. So I'm thinking, right, the unit's got to be fucked inside. So then I stripped it down again, switched it off, took the batteries out, swapped the batteries, made sure they were in right, made sure the connection were made. It then worked again. So I thought, right, I'll dress it again. Dressed it again. Use the remote, everything's working. Then it cuts off again after 15 minutes. I manages to find the switch again, which, like I said, is a total and utter fucking ball ache, and it wouldn't work again. So that, when I did the frustration video, was actually the third time I'd had the figure undressed. While I had it undressed that time, I decided to remove the wire from the tunic, which I have done and left out, and I also sort of took the chest section up and brought the belt up as well, and then I let the chest armor stay on the outside of the tunic. That's when I changed it around, and that's the video I did. Now, since that, and it were working again, since that, for this review, I've tried to switch it on and off again, which I can just about find. So it's off now, and now it's, bear with me. Let me put a small pause in here so I can do it with my thumb. Switch it on and off, nothing. No breathing. I've got the remote switched on, as you can see. Pressing the button, the remote light works, nothing. Now, if you think I'm splitting that figure back down again to check the batteries again, you're dreaming. I don't want it to work that much that I'm going to frustrate myself to try and do it again. So I actually said in the other review, the wiring is intermittent at best. That is the fact, because every time it's cut straight off while it's being dressed, I can't switch the twat back on. So I am still frustrated about that. So, reason I said it's frustrating and confusing is, do I score the extras, as in if your version works? Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna score it as they put a piece of shit voice box into a body that's already bulky and unarticulated. They've then put 15 layers of fucking clothes on it so you can't get to the switch, and when you can get to the switch, you can't turn it back on. So it's a total and utter frustration and waste of time. They could have just took people's ideas and put the voice unit into the stand. They could have get it a red light up inside, the batteries would have worked both, it would have been so much better, and I wouldn't be raving on about a voice box now that don't work after you've spent 3 hours undressing and redressing the clothes. So fuck 'em, basically. So on extras, although the droid is a nice inclusion and a little bit frustrating on its own, I do like the selection of hands. The light up lightsaber is a right touch, and I suppose the electrics on the belt do work, although they're not amazing. So I am going to score the extras only a 3 out of 5. Rolling on to value, and I'll start off by saying that Darth Vader is the dearest, most expensive standalone piece released from Star Wars so far. Obviously I'm not including the 1/4 scale Boba Fett or the Han and Chewbacca double pack, just a standalone single figure. I think the Hong Kong release was in the region of $230 to $250, maybe even more now. It will sell out fast, and that is understandable. So when you talk price difference between Vader and Luke, you're talking from 180, 190 to 200. So let's call it a £50 difference. Is Darth Vader £50 better than Luke? Not at all, nowhere near. Even if the voice worked every time and the lights were even more amazing and it brought a little bit more, I still don't think it's that much better of a figure than Luke is, and not than Obi-Wan either, which would be the next cheapest. So where did your money go? Your money basically goes because of the iconic value. I think if you're only going to have one piece from Star Wars, it would have to be Vader. He is the iconic piece, and it's a shame because I'll be honest and say of the ones I've reviewed, I would say he's the worst, to be honest. I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm saying he's not as good as the others. That's my honest opinion. If you wanted both the iconic ones, you would have to get these two. I want to show you size comparison because I want to make another point as well. Yeah, these would be the two you would need. You could leave Han and Chewbacca, you could leave Obi-Wan, you could even leave Princess Leia. You could leave the Stormtroopers, every version that they're doing, but these are the two you would need because they are obviously the symbols of good and evil in the film. That's my thoughts on it. Also, people will say you used to have the sideshow version from Return of the Jedi, and now you have this, which is better. To be honest, my version of the sideshow one was untrue because I did a lot of modification on that to make the suit look somewhat like decent. Straight out the box, this is definitely the better figure, and the one, if I'd still got both, I would be keeping this and selling the sideshow one. The main thing with that is, if you want to display the sideshow one with anything else, it simply looks out of scale. It's too big to stand. I used to stand it with the DX Luke from Hot Toys, and it just never looked right. Even the width of the lightsaber, it was too fat compared to Luke's. This is in scale, although it's a lot bigger, obviously it needs to be, but the sideshow one just looked totally out of scale. So again, that is the reason that I would pick the Hot Toys one over the sideshow one. But it isn't a perfect figure. Take everything into account if you've not bought it yet. I have tried to review it honestly, and I believe I have. It is a nice figure and will display really nice when you get that pose, get it statuesque, get it looking good with the other Star Wars. It will be an eye-catching figure, but there's a lot of frustration that goes along with that. So, on the value, because I think it's overpriced, and it's the things that it sort of advertises don't work perfectly, or they don't on mine, and I know there's a couple of other guys in the Facebook groups who have said the same thing. Eamon, I think, said it. I think there were one other, and I can't remember who, but name check there to Eamon. He said that his electrics were intermittent as well, so it can't just be mine. So, like I say, just a frustration. But the value, because it is overpriced and everything doesn't work all the time, I'm only scoring it a 3 out of 5 for value. And I will say it was very nearly a 2 out of 5. I was feeling generous when I scored it. I'm going to roll straight onto the sum up. Like I've just said, I think it is my least favourite of the Obi-Wan, Luke, and Chewbacca set, and this would be my least favourite, although the shame is it's the most iconic. Will everybody want it? I'm guessing most people want it. All the childs of the 70s and 80s will want it. But all in all, it scored 21 out of a possible 30, which is not an amazing score, to be honest, but it is what it is. I hope you've enjoyed all my Star Wars reviews and all my other reviews on my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please leave a comment, put your thumbs up, and also share my videos around. The better support I get, it keeps me more involved. But for now, this is Clipper King, and I am out of here.